Thank you. Let me just say I am pleased and honored to join my colleagues, Senator Harris and Senator Merkley, in introducing the Reunite Act. I don't have to tell all of you, this crisis that we are in was completely manufactured by this administration. Completely manufactured. We are here today because this administration put in an inhumane policy thinking it was okay for deterrent purposes to separate parents from their children, from toddlers. It is outrageous. As Americans, what we value in this country are our families and our kids, and always looking out for the best interests of our kids and doing them no harm. And I'll tell you what, I don't care whether you are from the United States, or you're from Nicaragua, Honduras, or what country you are from, we should all be looking out for the best interests of children and their families. And my stories are no different. I went down to the border. I wanted to see for myself not only how this administration was using our taxpayer dollars to house these children and their families. And when I showed up at one of the facilities that was housing the toddlers, Casa Presidente, they would not let me in. Not only did they have a locked door, they even refused to sit down and just talk to me about how they were treating the children and the accommodations for the children and how long they had been there and the ages of the children, the gender of the children, and what we were doing in the future to look out for the best interests. To me, outrageous. Outrageous. And then I went to Isabel Detention Facility to talk to the parents. And Senator Harris is right. And we both know, as former attorneys general, I've been to the prisons in the state of Nevada. And this Isabel Detention Facility is no different than the prisons I visited as the attorney general in the state of Nevada. These parents are being detained in prison. They have no idea what's happening to their children. I talked with 6 mothers, 4 fathers, and each one of them told me the same thing. They asked me where their child is, and they asked me what was going on in the outside world and how long they were going to be there. Because what they told me is they have access to one TV, and anytime the news comes on about family detention or what's happening at the border, the channel is changed. They are put in coveralls, colored coveralls. They're told when to eat, when they can go out in the yard and get some fresh air. And then they're back in their cells or some sort of detained facility and have no idea what's happening. And each one of them had the same story. And I will tell you, I don't know how you could not sit and listen to the stories that these mothers and fathers said with tears in their eyes and not be outraged by what this administration has done. They've come from foreign countries because they are not safe where they are. Who wouldn't pick up their child and take them to a country that is known for protecting others? Who wouldn't? Anna had a 5-year-old daughter, and she did that because her daughter was being threatened, and she was being threatened with her life. And so she made the decision to leave her home country, her own country, her language that she knows, her country that she grew up in. Who wants to do that? But she had to be for the safety of her family. And she trekked across 3,000 miles of dangerous terrain and difficult terrain to get to our border, knowing what she had been told, that Americans will protect you. Americans will be there to fight for you. And when she saw the Border Patrol, she thought, my God, I finally made it. I'm here. And she waved them down thinking, with my daughter, we are going to be protected. And what do? They lock her up. They lock her up. And then they tell her, you need to take your 5-year-old daughter and you need to either put her on that bus or we will do it for you. But we're taking your child away from you. And that was the first time she and her daughter had ever been separated. And every single story that I heard from those parents was the same. Griselda did the same thing with her family. She had a small business. And they were extorting her for money. And if you don't pay those gangs and the criminals the money, then they threaten you with your life or your children's lives, or your daughter can be raped and killed. And so she came to this country for that protection, to protect her family. And I said to every single one of these parents, why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you go to the police for protection. And they looked at me and said, the police are part of the problem. There is no rule of law. There is nobody there to protect us. But we know and we've heard that Americans do just that. And that's why we're here. It is outrageous. And I don't care whether you're a parent, you're not a parent. This is not who we are as a country. But this policy, and let's be clear, this policy was dreamed up by this administration. They never, ever had an intent to reunite these children with their parents. Never. Never had an intent. And believe me, I've talked with them. It's not in their policies or protocols. They've never had to do it before, so they've never done it. And that's what's happening here. And what you have are various agencies, whether it's Border Patrol or ICE or Homeland Security, which oversees those two, and HHS, which oversees the Refugee Resettlement Program. They're not communicating. They don't share information. When the families come in, they give them an alien ID number, and that's it. They don't say who they're connected to, if their parents came with them. They don't say where they're from, other than you've got an alien ID number, and now we're going to sort you like your cattle, based on your gender, based on your age. I went to the processing center where they're actually keeping these families and some kids in these, I don't know how else to say it, but it looked like these little cells that were put together by chain link fence. And they sorted them based on their age and their gender. It was outrageous. And I went to talk to two mothers who had just come here. You could tell they still had the clothes that they came over in. They had not been able to take showers. And they were standing in front of young toddlers who were sitting on a mat behind them. And I assumed those were their kids. And I said, oh my goodness, when did you come? What's going on? How long have you been here? And how long have your kids been there? And they said, oh, these aren't our kids. Our boys, who are their teenagers, they're housed right over there in another facility, and we can't see them. They're in the same building, but we can't see them because they are separating them based on their age and gender. Can you imagine? Your child is there, but you don't get the opportunity to even see or talk to that child. It's outrageous. So we need policies. We need to continue to fight for these families. I told those parents I would tell their stories and bring them here, and that people in this country are fighting for them. And that's what this is about. We do not stop fighting, because this is about our values, who we are as Americans, and what we project around the world. That when people are in need and there is threat and they're being persecuted, or there's threat of violence against them, that we will help them. And that's what this is about. So thank you so much to my colleagues and all of you for caring enough to be here today and continuing to tell this story and fight with us. Thank you.